Welcome to Single Leg Parlay. It is the college week 4 preview. We got a bunch of games that we're going to go over. We're going to go over our top matchups as far as a game, our best bets, some money line dogs you may want to consider for your round robins, or just throw a couple bucks on, see if they're fun. We got a lot to get to today, so let's get started. I got Al next to me. I got Andy over in the corner. Cheers.
Cheers.
So I'm not going to even lie. It wasn't a great week for college football this week. Every week's a great week, right? There's always games, but nothing was that exciting in the top 25 outside of Georgia kind of being against the ropes versus Kentucky. But you knew how that was going to end at the end, right? Georgia just didn't have the dogs. They didn't have the horses in order to fight with Georgia at the end of the day. This week does promise to be a little bit better. There's some yummy, delicious matchups coming up, a couple that I'm really excited about. But let's talk about the top matchups of week 4. Al, who you got?
Yeah, so I was just trying to get a head count on how many ranked matchups there are. And I think there's 4 or 5. But I'll tell you what, one matchup that we don't see as a ranked matchup between two ranked teams very often is Illinois-Nebraska.
Hell yeah.
And so I know there are probably more interesting games for some people, but Andy being an Illinois alum and, Dylan Raiola at Nebraska, this might be the stiffest test he'll face as far as opposing defenses. I think it'll be interesting to see what kind of shakes out, where these teams fall by the final whistle. So, and plus I wanted to give Andy an opportunity to talk about his team.
Thank you. I appreciate that. We've brought in some transfers this year that have looked really good. And the first 3 weeks of the season have been really fun. 3-0 is, not something to sneeze at when you're Illinois. We beat a ranked team in week 2 with Kansas. Just a quick side note, I bet on Kansas this week, and they were cruising. They should have covered that number by 40. But then Jalen Daniels made a bunch of boneheaded turnovers, and they lost. And I was all pissed. And then I was like, maybe I shouldn't be upset at Jalen Daniels making all of these ridiculous turnovers, because that's the only reason Illinois beat them. So,
Yeah.
you got to take the good with the bad. But Illinois does this every couple of years. They'll reel off some wins. They'll get ranked. And
Every
then
couple?
they'll suck. Yeah. This is the third time it's happened since I've been married, and I've been married 12 years. Yeah, it's about every 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
A couple might have been too.
It's like an election season. It's an Illinois ranking season.
Draft class, yeah.
But they perform terribly when there's any expectations. Anytime their win total is above 6, it's going to be a bad season. Anytime they're ranked, they're going to fall apart. So I really enjoyed the first 3 weeks, and I am tempering my expectations going forward.
Yeah, I can't relate as a fan of a team that definitely doesn't underperform when there's high expectations. What language are we speaking?
I think this is a fun matchup because I'm really curious to see how much better Illinois has gotten. And this is going to be a stiff test. I think this is going to be a low-scoring affair with the number at 43.5. Sounds about right. Everyone's really crowning Nebraska because they kicked the shit out of 2 bad teams and then play Colorado. So technically kicked the shit out of 3 bad teams. I think would probably be a fair explanation there. I love Dylan Raiola. I love Matt Rule. I think they do a lot of good things. This is a different test because Illinois got a Big Ten defense, and they play like they got a Big Ten defense. It ain't Ohio State. It's not like the top dogs in the Big Ten, but it is not a joke defense at all. This is going to be a huge step up compared to Colorado. And how does Dylan Raiola handle that? At the same time, how does Luke Altmaier handle facing an Illinois defense? This is not Kansas. Kansas does certain things that are really fun on offense, and then they survive on defense. Nebraska can survive on defense. I'm really curious to see the quarterback matchup and who ends up with the better numbers and who can minimize the mistakes. I think it comes down to that. I think whoever wins the turnover battle wins the game. How about that? I'm like, I need a teleprompter and a sick guy. I need to be sitting next to Bill Cowher.
That's keys to the game.
No, but I do think
Brought to you by Chevy.
It's going to be a punt. It's going to be a classic Big Ten matchup, and who can manage it the best. Yeah, I'm excited. It's not an island game. I wish it was the only game on. I know Syracuse, classic ACC matchup coming up at the same time in Stanford versus Syracuse. It's a ACC battle old as time. So I'll be curious to see the competition there, but I will be glued to this game. All right. Al. Oh, no, Andy. What game do you want to watch the most? Or what's the best matchup? Sorry. I know which game you're going to want to watch the most.
Yeah. Tennessee at Oklahoma. Tennessee has looked incredible every week. We've talked about them hitting the over by themselves in the first half, which kind of screwed Matt, but still very impressive. And then Oklahoma has looked a little bit suspect at times, playing teams that aren't very good. So I think this could kind of be Tennessee's coming out party. And I can't believe that the number is only 7. I'm laying those all day. There's 7.5s out there too, but take the 7. Or lay the 7. Find the 7 and lay it.
Lay the 7 points on Tennessee. Tennessee minus 7 is Andy's pick. Al, you got thoughts on this?
Officially the picks part, but
yeah,
bonus.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Andy. I think we sort of alluded to it in our recap pod that Oklahoma may not be it. It ain't it for Oklahoma. So Tennessee can hang points, and it's going to be tough sledding for Oklahoma to do the same, I think.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I do think Tennessee is very good. I think this is going to be a big step up in competition, even from like an NC State. So I still think we're in that, like, don't make sweeping accusations or assumptions about teams when they've been playing a bunch of dog shit teams.
We're not even a month in.
Yeah, Oklahoma did play a Tulane team that gave Kansas State fits. Kansas State looked great against Arizona. There may be growing pains to this. But, yes, my bet, I'm going to probably take the under in this game. I think there's going to be a lot more I think there's going to be a little bit of shell shock from Tennessee when things that are wide open all the time aren't as wide open. But looks like Nico's really good. It looks like Nico's the truth. So it should be really fun. Boys, I got the game of the week. Look at the spread. Look at the spreads for this game because I think it's a pick 'em. Utah and Uncle Kyle are rolling into Poketown to face Oklahoma State. I am super excited to watch this game. Oklahoma State has had the weirdest season I've ever seen. They got crushed by Arkansas, but statistically they got crushed and won that game, which was weird. Utah is just Utah. Like, it doesn't throw the stats out. They're never that exciting. They're a perfect Big Ten team, by the way. You guys should envelop Utah because they're tough to play at home. They play defense. They play just enough offense to keep it interesting. I don't know which way this game is going to go. I'm going to play the over in the game because I think there's going to be points to be scored. Ollie Gordon's great. Bowman for Oklahoma State looks really good as a quarterback, and I trust Uncle Kyle to be able to get points. But I have legitimately no idea what the outcome of this game will be, and that's how I consider what a good matchup will be.
Yeah, super exciting game. I think Cam Rising's coming back, which certainly adds to it. So.
Yeah, it won't be a very interesting game if he's not playing. That's for sure.
I don't know, man. I don't know. You're going to say that about Uncle Kyle, and he's going to roll into town and do some dumb shit and win by 4 when you don't expect it. That's what he does. That's what I love Utah. Because it's not that exciting. You have to be a college football person to really like Utah because it's like rooting for Iowa. Like, you know what you're going to get with Iowa, and it's awful, but it's always fun in a terrible way. I'm trying to think of like a comparison to that. It's like watching like B series movies, like those kind of films where you're like, it's bad, but there's joy in the bad, right? And it satisfies, it scratches the itch.
So bad it's
like
good.
Sharknado. Exactly. This is Utah. That seems disrespectful. That's more for Iowa, the Sharknado. This is like the best Sharknado on the internet. Like, whoever can AI the best Sharknado, and you go down a rabbit hole and you realize you've watched it for 45 minutes, and you're like, this is not bad. This is not bad. I like it. That's Utah.
And then honorable mention to the Blue Blood Classic, USC versus Michigan. Mm-hmm. That's the other matchup between ranked teams. Least interesting of the four, in my opinion, obviously, since we just went over the other three. But yeah, it's a bad year. Rebuilding year for Michigan.
I kind of like Michigan in this
Yeah.
game, and I kind of hate myself for liking Michigan in this game. I do think their defense will travel to Los Angeles really well.
The big house.
To the big house in Los Angeles. I like USC's look like a wagon actually so far. They've looked really good. I do think this is going to be a considerable test because even when USC played LSU, LSU's defense is not good. They continue to be not good. The South Carolina game was not good from a defensive perspective, but I think there's going to be a step up in class. And if Michigan just can score some points.
Yeah, this is going to be the game where the commentating skill is on display far more than the actual on-field talent skill is on display. You know, like it's going to be 3 hours of whoever's color commenting, just filleting all of the stars on both sides in a game that's like 13-10 halfway through the fourth quarter.
I hope it's Gus Johnson. I'm rooting for.
No, it's for sure. It's going to be like Herb Street.
So it's on CBS.
Oh.
And it is in the big house, actually.
Iron Eagle?
Oh, shit. I thought it was going to Los Angeles.
Nope. It's Michigan's got another home game.
Wow. Okay. Well, then I take it back. It is in the big house.
It was in the big house either way.
Yeah, it was.
So I've been betting on Michigan a lot this year, and I've been wrong a lot. So, take that for what it's worth. But I might bring this one up again when we get to our money lines. So,
ooh, I like it. Yeah, this game, the variance to me could be wild. I can see Michigan winning. I can see USC winning by 30. And I don't know what to do with any of that information except I'm assuming that defense is going to be of optimal importance, and it's going to be a low-scoring match. Low-scoring affair.
Yeah.
You know what the total is?
ESPN has it at 46.5.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that's an interesting number for sure.
Provocative.
It is.
Gets the people going.
You got my attention.
So there are a couple other games I do want to talk about. This game is dog shit, but it's really important to talk about. Florida, Mississippi State. I don't know what to make of this game, and I'm actually going to watch it because Florida did like rotating quarterbacks to hell. Graham Mertz did look like the better quarterback the other day. DJ Lagway has more upside, but they got dog walked by Texas A&M without a quarterback. So that was interesting to me. Mississippi State lost to Arizona State on the road. Did they just lose to Toledo by like 24? Am I correct about this? Can someone look this up really quick?
Yeah.
And they got beat by someone.
They lost at home to Toledo, 41-17.
Yeah, not good. Nothing good is coming from this. And look, we kind of expected all of this, right? I don't think anyone was surprised that Florida had a bad year, and Mississippi State under Jeff Lebby is going to take some time. But I don't know. I don't know. Like, I think I'll probably get back Florida here, but I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I don't know if you guys have a thought on this. This is
Mississippi
like
State has Texas and Georgia and A&M back to back after this one. I mean, I guess they have a week off after Texas, but they have Texas the following week.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I think there's still a lot of unknowns for Florida, kind of, which is weird to say. Like, we've seen 3 games already, right? But like, Miami's a wagon, so there's really no shame in losing that one. And then they played a cupcake. Now the Texas A&M without a quarterback, is a little different.
Not great. It was not a great outcome in this one.
Right, but I still think they could be decent. So I think I'm going to be with you on this one.
Yeah, it's more like they're going to have a lot better talent, and it's more like are they going to have their X's and O's figured out enough to roll a bad team? And yeah, I think the Gators get a dub here.
I think there's juice on Florida I think there's value on Florida, but this could end up being a disaster, right? Like this could be Billy Napier's swan song of retirement because it is getting to scary season, and this is the team you cannot lose to. Like you cannot lose to this Mississippi State team. So I think it's fun. Two more games, if you guys will entertain me enough, I think are worth talking about. I don't know if you guys have watched Louisville so far, and they haven't played anyone of substantial credence, but they've been kicking the shit out of everyone. Like, legit kicking the shit out of everyone. I thought this was going to be a step back for Louisville this year from their ACC championship appearance. But no, they look all right. They got Georgia Tech going into town. Georgia Tech was a darling for the Florida State game win. Not looking as good anymore. Went to Syracuse, lost that game, which was like the most ACC shit that could have happened. I think this game could be really, really interesting because I don't know what to make of it. I think Louisville's an 11-point favorite, which feels like a lot of points, but it feels like someone knows something I don't. I don't know if you guys have a feel on this game at all.
Yeah, I don't. I was like, oh, maybe this is a spot to bet Georgia Tech, but then I was like, this line seems closer than I'm comfortable betting, and then also Louisville's just really good, so I wouldn't count on their down game being against Georgia Tech at home, right? This is in Louisville.
It is in Louisville.
Yeah,
at the big house.
If this was single digits, I'd probably lay it with Louisville, but being in the double digits, I think I'm gonna stay away from this one.
Georgia Tech's feisty though, man. Like I know it's a road game; it doesn't feel great. It's going to be a really interesting game. And then one game that's interesting if you're absolutely disgusting, you got Iowa, Minnesota this week. Let me pull up some of the stats on Iowa, Minnesota. Really
While you're doing
quick.
that, I just want to say Louisville does have a Notre Dame in South Bend the following week after this Georgia Tech game. So I don't know, Matt might be, barking up the right tree here.
You got Iowa going into Minnesota to face that butthole PJ Fleck. Spread is 2.5 to Iowa. Totals 36.5. I think you could probably bet the under here. That's probably a safe play. Minnesota kind of always has a good defense, right? They got the big boys. Like they do good at being big in Minnesota, and so does Iowa. It's going to be like when you see two elephants fighting in the wild, that kind of stuff. It's brutal. It's disgusting, and not much joy comes from it. And that's what I feel like. I feel like that's a perfect encapsulation for this game. It's going to be brutal, disgusting, and not a lot of joy for anyone.
It's like watching something you know happens, but you never thought about happening,
Yeah. You're like, this could be...
It makes sense, but not in my brain. Yeah.
But I do think it's I'm entertained by the idea. It also is at 7:30. It feels like it should be like noon. This game should be playing at noon for sure. 7:30 in Minneapolis. Get the hell out of here. It's going to be like 47 degrees in September. But it'll feel like football, I guess.
No, I like all Iowa home games should be at noon. All Iowa road games should be at 7:30.
Okay.
That's just how it should be. I like it.
Interesting.
Andy, do you have a thought on this game?
I will be glued to this. I have plays on the total and the spread. I'm very, very excited about this.
So Andy's clearly on the over and Minnesota here, right?
He's like Kate McNamara passing props over 300 yards.
Yeah, that sounds gross. I'm actually with Matt just in the general. I think all Big Ten games that don't include Ohio State or Michigan should all be played at noon. If it's a Big Ten matchup, noon.
I thought you were going to say should all be unders.
Well, that too. That's
both
play.
Yeah.
Penn State's allowed one night game a year where they all wear white, and then of course if you're on the West Coast, you play at 3:30, which is noon.
Yeah,
exactly. Noon 30. Exactly. Yeah, like you can play at noon 30. No, I agree. There may be other games out there. I'm sorry if we didn't talk about them. Those are the ones that I was most intrigued by this week. But let's get to the best bet section, boys. I'm not going to let Al go first. I'm going to go first. I will go Houston, Cincinnati over 48.5. Similar to what Al said last episode, Cincinnati's kind of become a little more fun. Scott Satterfield, the old coach of Louisville, does know how to draw up an offense. He's also a giant douchebag. So I'll be curious to see what kind of axe he's going to grind this week. And Houston isn't great. I don't think there's any equivocations, but they've been playing better from that really disgusting first loss to UNLV. Mind you, UNLV may just be good. I think we need to put that in careful consideration. They beat Kansas in St. Louis last week. They may just be a legitimately good Mountain West team. So I do think there's value on the total here. 48.5 is too low. I think it's going to be too low. I will hit the over, and anything that is below 50, I think it's worthwhile hitting the over. Andy, what are you doing?
I like that. And I'm going back to the game we just talked about, Iowa and Minnesota. My best bet is under 36.5. This is not a game for people who like to root for points. This is one where you're going to be rooting for missed field goals, but it's glorious. Come join the dark side. Yes. Come over to the dark side and start enjoying really, really shitty football because it's so much fun.
Why don't sportsbooks offer punt props? They should totally offer over under 6.5 punts.
Oh my God, I would hit the over all day on any Big Ten game. 6.5 punts.
Whatever.
I got an idea for a shirt. Punts over points, right? And that's that's the Big Ten motto. Punts over points. I don't know if we're going to use this in the podcast.
We're making notes.
Punts over points. And it would just be perfect. You could just have a Big Ten logo. And that would be a very funny shirt to me. Because this game is punts over points for sure.
Love it.
Al, I'm going to turn the camera off while you say this.
Yeah, I was going to say, this needs an intro, when the Undertaker walks out, toll the bell, death is coming. My best bet of the week is laying 2.5 points on the Seminoles at home against the Cal Bears. It's FSU is so bad, but this is disrespectful. Under a field goal at home against Cal. Come on. I refuse to believe this team is starting out 0-4. You had me once, you fooled me twice. Third time, okay, maybe it's a trend, but nobody beats the FSU Seminoles 4 in a row. It ain't happening. Turn the camera back on, Matt.
My numbers show a ton of value on Florida State laying 2.5. They say that the number should be way bigger than that. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. But
not even 2.5.
I should value
basically money line.
I should value on the 17. Laying 17 to Boston College in week 2. And I didn't do that one either because it just felt too gross. So I hope they win because I hate seeing the look on Matt's face and Sunshine's face when this happens. But I'm not putting my hard-earned money on it.
I'd say maybe wait and catch them plus points live, but they're not going to be trailing in this one. This one's wire to wire. Matt is going to have a big shitting grin next time we record.
You think 1-3 brings me joy, bud? Actually,
it will. Yeah. In this one instance, 2 and 3 won't. 1 and 4, no. But 1 and 3, getting that first one in the win column.
I think there is a curious consideration on this one to see who the quarterback's going to be, and if that even impacts the line. That's
it could only impact it positively, I believe.
Can it? Can it get worse? Can the line get worse with Brock Glenn? Look, Brock Glenn, in his limited time in the limelight, did not look good. I don't think there's any equivocations, but he was a true freshman playing Louisville in the ACC championship game. So maybe he's got a little bit better, but why has he been playing to this point? I think those are good questions. I don't know. I'm assuming he hasn't been very good at practice. Does that mean he's a bad practice player and a good game time player? I don't know. I do not know what to do with this. I will let you guys know when they announce the starting quarterback. I think the depth chart will probably be on Tuesday because I'm super curious when the depth chart gets released to see how the line reacts. Because I mean, there's a
Matt,
chance it goes to Cal's way, and then I will probably bet Florida State money line for sport at that point.
Matt, I need you to tell me what you would set the team total at for FSU.
Okay, well, I thought Florida State this week would score 30. We scored 12.
12.
So we lost our left tackle, our left guard, and our starting right tackle in the game, which is the reason why the offense and DJU was running for his life. In my mind, I think we should score 27 points. I would guess it would be 27-20 at the end of the game. Cal has probably the best running back in the ACC, but they play incredibly slow, and they don't pass the ball very much.
That's still so weird to hear. Cal has the best in the ACC. I'm like, wait, what?
Dude, yes, this Ott is good. Ott's good. They went to Auburn and just handled Auburn. Mm-hmm. Auburn ain't that different from Florida State right now in their situation. They just got one of those easy games under their belt. So I think we've talked enough about this game because it's truly uninteresting. Except the spread is interesting. I guess if you're an outsider, it's probably an interesting game to watch to see if the whole town burns.
So, real quick, Matt, before we move on, I know you've always sort of had a soft spot for Cal.
Yeah, I do.
Obviously, the Florida State's your team, but you've always kind of rooted for them. Now that they're in the same conference and you're playing them, obviously this week you're rooting against them, but just in general, do you have less fondness for them now that they're a conference opponent?
No, actually, originally I wanted to go to this game because I kind of I have my Deshaun Jackson jersey, I have my Job at Best jersey. I like Cal. Cal's my number 2 team. I always enjoyed them previously. No, I kind of in the same point. It gives me a second team to kind of root for in the ACC. I like Cal. It's always been my favorite, my guilty pleasure. I love Jeff Tedford. I like Sonny Dykes. I'm still a fan of TCU because I like what Sonny Dykes did there. It doesn't really change much except I want them to get their shit pushed in this weekend, and then they can win all the rest of them. I was happy when they beat Auburn for what it's worth.
Yeah.
Nice.
Let's talk money lines, boys. That conversation sucked. Let's talk money lines. Yeah, it's a lot more fun. Guys, I have not even looked at the schedule deep enough to do an analysis on money lines. I will put together some sort of round robin, but you boys are on your shit. So tell me, who should we be targeting for some round robin or money line plays this week?
Al, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, so I've got a couple candidates here. One is Arkansas, who is playing Auburn. I was looking at that line. I think it's 4.5, and I couldn't make out which team I wanted to bet on less. It feels like a real coin flip situation where Arkansas could, Auburn could really struggle reeling in Taylor Green, and then on the other hand, Arkansas is just a real Jekyll and Hyde where you don't know what you're going to get, and you may not even know what you're going to get quarter to quarter. So, I do think it's worth rolling the dice a little bit on the money line, though. I think that's a fun one. They could certainly go into Auburn and win. The other option I have is the Scarlet Knights of Rutgers. They are going into Blacksburg to take on the Hokies. Again, I think they're a shortish dog. And I know everyone had high
3.5 right now.
Yeah, I think everyone had highish expectations for Vatek. They've already dropped one. And Rutgers is they can sneak up on you. So those are the couple I have my eye on this week.
Nice. My first two are in games we've already discussed quite a bit. I like Utah. They're playing Oklahoma State. That was Matt's top matchup of the week. So I like Utah and Uncle Kyle getting Cam Rising back. And then Michigan. I think there's a ton of different ways that this game could go, but it would not shock me if Michigan wins that one. The one we have not talked about at all is Western Kentucky. I like Western
Hilltoppers.
Kentucky. Yes, sir. Bailey Zappi. He's not there anymore, but I like Western Kentucky. They're hosting Toledo, and they're like a short
Toledo,
dog.
the one and the same as the same Toledo squad that just beat the brakes off of Mississippi State in
That's the one.
Starkville. Yeah.
But Mississippi State is not good, which is why that happened.
Yeah.
So I think Western Kentucky should actually be favored here by more than a field goal. So.
Yeah.
Okay, I got a couple. I take it back. There's a couple I like. I do think you need to consider Coastal Carolina in this spot versus Virginia. Virginia's
I love
ranked
that one.
I looked at that.
I love that one. Yeah.
I do think that's probably the right move. And a spread I'm already betting this week, and it's almost a money line, so I might as well bring it up. I know they've looked bad the last couple of weeks. Kansas has not looked great against Illinois, not looked great against UNLV. West Virginia is regressing to the mean. They won a lot of one-score games last year, and I think you're kind of seeing – I like Green as the quarterback. I think this is going to be a really fun game, but I would consider Kansas in the spot for sure.
Yeah, I thought about that one. I'm not so sure how well equipped Kansas is to go into West Virginia and win on the road there. It's kind of the only thing, but I do think there's a lot of reasons that one makes sense too.
And this is barely one. I am going to bet Baylor against Colorado. They are a 1 point. Oh no, they're a favorite. Sorry, never mind. Forget that.
Yeah, but if you need a team to throw in there that's not. Maybe get a minus 105 on them or something.
And if you want to be real stinky, and the spread is dangerous because it's basically a pick 'em. Sorry, Boca Raton. Look at UConn versus FAU this weekend. I hate it. But it looks like the right play.
FAU boat raced Florida Worldwide.
They did.
This weekend.
Florida Worldwide University.
Yeah.
Dale. Anything else you guys want to cover? I think we covered a lot of games. We talked some football. We talked Florida State for way too long.
Made some friends along the way.
Hell yeah, we did, boys.
Yeah.
Well, I love y'all. Hey, make sure you go to singlelegparlay.com. It's really important. We appreciate our subscribership is growing. Tell your friends. We rebranded so we could be more likable. We could be more lovable. Single leg parlay doesn't even make sense. It's cheeky. Share this information with your friends because we're making this for you, and we're trying to make money for y'all as well. So go to singlelegparlay.com, hit the subscribe button, put your email address. We'll slide our picks right into your inbox. You don't even have to ask. We won't even be obtrusive about it. And you can just ignore the emails. That's fine. Or you can win money. It's up to you. Go to TikTok. Follow Single Leg Parlay there. It's hugely important. We put our best bets out there. And that's it. Cheers, everybody.
Thanks for listening to the newly rebranded Single Leg Parlay podcast. Visit our website at www.singlelegparlay.com, where you can read more of our thoughts, as well as subscribing to our newsletter to have our picks delivered straight to your inbox each week. And don't forget to follow Single Leg Parlay on all of your favorite social media platforms. Cheers.